Well, hello, and welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast. I'm your host, David Ward, and you may be thinking, Dave, this sounds different. You're not wrong. This week's episode, we're delving into our archives, episode 379, because of something I mentioned in last week's episode, and that is new hardware from Google with their smart speaker infused with their AI, Gemini. And so we talked a little bit about that in a recent episode from a hardware perspective and looking at the Daily Tech News show's breakdown and some of the foibles and problems that I had experienced. But I felt it might be good for me to go back and roll back to episode 379, let you guys hear that with some of my first impressions about Gemini, trying it out on one of the speakers that was compatible and was able to upgrade to it. So there may be some subtle differences between that and the newer hardware, but I kind of doubt it. They're probably mostly the same. I don't know if there's even any sensor differences on any of them at all. Obviously, the newer one I think has better audio quality, but this will definitely give you an idea, a feel for the software capabilities and kind of the upsell path for if you end up paying a monthly service for it or not. Now, admittedly, some of the information I was supplied when you're hearing this review may have changed since then in the pricing structure and what features you get or don't get, namely around security camera features and other upgrades if you pay for the monthly service. But bear in mind, there's even still the free Gemini that you get even if you don't pay for the monthly service. There's certain aspects that you get access to. But anywho, thought that you'd like to hear my first impressions of all of that. So we're going to be playing today, episode 379. We'll pop in the cassette tape and we'll roll back to episode 379. Enjoy. All right, guys, welcome back. All right, so what do we, where can I start you with? Well, I want to first start off with a weird thing. It's kind of an apology of sorts, but it isn't my fault. But it could be, well, it's worth knowing, I think. And that is that the audio quality you're going to hear today from our Nest Mini speaker is not the greatest because the way they've kind of hobgoblin this together now doesn't allow me to easily export the audio out of the device via Bluetooth. And I even was on probably a 30 to 45 minute chat session with Google support today about that very issue because I knew I could get Bluetooth out of it, but then I ran into a problem. So what is the problem? Well, unlike an Amazon device, the Amazon devices, once you Bluetooth out of the device, all the audio, including music, podcasts, games, and the A-Lady's voice herself, all come out on that corresponding speaker. Think a wireless Bluetooth battery-powered speaker you want to take out. You guys are having a cookout outside or something like that. You can take it with you, and all that content is going to come out there. Now, at that point, it's probably not as important that you can hear the A-Lady's voice, but nonetheless, it all comes out a single speaker. But what I ran into today after setting this device up is that's not possible anymore, at least not with this traditional setup with the the Nest Mini speaker. Now, these devices are only probably around $50, and probably this time of year with holidays and stuff, you could probably even get one cheaper. They do put out a fair amount of volume, very similar to maybe an Echo Dot. They're squished a little bit, look donut shaped for those that are unfamiliar. They do project pretty well, and the new voices really do sound quite good. But the problem is even if I connect to a Bluetooth speaker, now the music will go to that speaker, or in our case, the mixers where I wanted you guys to hear it. But the voice of the actual assistant continues to come out the speaker, no matter what you do. It's pretty much hard locked to that. Google did offer me some options of ways to hack around that if I had a more advanced speaker, like I think Google Mac Studio, or if I had the Hub or something. It involved a lot of HDMI cables and conversions, and it was a hot mess. But anyway, so this is a long way to say the audio is not going to be the greatest today because right now I got my microphone snugged up right against the Google Nest on the desk here so that you guys can hear it at the same time. So the audio levels, I'll probably, post-production, I can hopefully make it sound pretty good to you guys. But if it does sound a little echoey or weird, that's the reason why. I don't have any really good way to get the high fidelity. It's a shame because the voices are fantastic. no simple way to get the audio into the mixer. It's just a crying shame. All right, so where can I start with the setup process? Like I said, I've been in the preview program for a million years, and I go back and I update it. Never got anywhere with that. And I bought this expressly to be able to demo to you guys Gemini Live and get early into the public beta. Never succeeded in that really at all. But I did eventually. I signed up for a waiting list that was independent from the preview, and which is weird. They got different nomenclatures for different parts of the program, and some is inclusive and some is exclusive. But anyway, that's a long way to say I got an email about a week ago that said, hey, you've been greenlit to join the Nest Gemini Live something. So I was like, oh, yes. So I went in there, and there's like a button that says get it now or get something. And I went through that whole process and was supposed to launch the app and do all these different things. And it pretty much fell on its face time and time again. I updated the apps, and then I had weirdness with my apps not seeing my Nest, even though it was clearly on my account. Then I had to reset it. I bleed for you guys, all right, guys. I keep trying because I'm hopeful that if we got another competitor in this market, it'll help. The tide will rise all ships. But boy, they don't make it easy, I got to tell you. So somehow or another, I eventually got it. So when I opened the Google Home app a couple of days ago, I got to the point where it said, hey, would you like to do this Google Premium blah, 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 which will give you Gemini? And I pretty much went down the rabbit hole, a few check boxes, next. Now, I don't remember seeing a buy button, but somehow I subscribed because the next morning I got an email that said, hey, welcome. You have subscribed to, let me get the nomenclature right here, guys. Let's see. It is called Google Home Premium, but its former name was Nest Aware. Okay, so I signed up for Google Home Premium. And that is, I think, the cheapest of the options that are going to allow you to have Gemini Live on your Nest support. Although, like I said a week or two ago, that one of the other emails I got or web pages I went to seemed to suggest a delineation of free features that would cover some of the more basic things, and then more paid-for features connected with video stuff. And in fact, that's still pretty much, well, at least that component of what makes it worth paying for is the core feature is video support. So if you have video cameras, its ability to keep a running recording of different things. You can even set it to like recognize certain people's faces and have triggers. The kids have got home today, things like that. So a whole bunch of weird features connected with that. I wish they'd give you YouTube free or whatever, what they call that, YouTube commercial free. I don't think that's part of the premium thing here. But anyway, I apparently somehow signed up for it, and it is generally, what did I say, $10 a month. So that's basically what we're looking at. All right, so let me look over my notes and make sure I still haven't missed anything with that I want to tell you guys about. Setup. I told you about the audio, weird Bluetooth features. The voices. So I want you guys to hear what this sounds like. So if you do have a Google in hearing distance of my voice, you may want to, or a Nest, you may want to shut its ears off because we will be doing this live right now. Hey, Google, do you know anything about the podcast Echo Tips with the host David Ward?
Yes, I do. Echo Tips is an educational podcast hosted by David Ward. It offers brief episodes demonstrating features of the Amazon Echo, including commands for alarms, timers, phone calls, and reading books. It's especially helpful for new users and seniors. David Ward is also the former assistive technology instructor for the New Vision program.
Wow, it's interesting that it pulled that last nugget out like my former job. Okay. Well, I guess it was connected to this podcast. So, yeah, that's who originally started the podcast. So, interesting. Okay. Now, you may have noticed right there immediately, I had a ding sound at the end. Those are the audio dings that are typically used by the blind and vision impaired to kind of let you know what would otherwise be a visual indicator that she is now listening or has stopped listening. Now, what's interesting here is you may have noticed right away she stopped. And I kind of like that. This is different than the Alexa Plus, which has the continuing listening feature or the follow-up mode. So you might have remembered that I've shut off the dings on that thing because they're kind of willy-nilly the way they're coming in and out all the time, and they're not exactly synchronized right. And then you have the continuing listen feature, so it's almost like it doesn't really do anything for you, especially the end chime. So I pretty much had shut it off in the last, 15 episodes we've been doing. But this is interesting. This does not continue to automatically listen after it gives its statement, which is very kind of refreshing in a way. It's the old way. I kind of like it. Now, I did burrow down into the settings, and there is a way to turn it on to a continuous like follow-up mode where after it gives its answer, it will continue to wait that extra 30 seconds or whatever, and then see if you have a follow-up question. Like you could say, what's 5 plus 5? She goes, 10, Dave. And then I'd say, what's 10 times 36, or whatever. And she would come back, and I didn't have to say her name again, and she would just do it. So that feature is in there, but it's not on by default, which, like I said, I kind of find refreshing. And these chimes are pretty well synchronized and crisp and give you a very clear delineation of where things begin and end. And Google's always done a very good job with that. Oh, I said her name. Has always done a very good job with that, connected with their skills and third-party features, although they pretty much have trimmed those back to almost non-existence, I would say, the way it used to be, but we'll learn about that hopefully more together. Okay. Oh, sorry, I did it again. I think I physically bumped her. Okay, so does it have a touch cloth interface on the front? So I'm trying to avoid bumping my nose up against it because I have it pressed right up against the microphone. Okay, so let's just follow up this natural language function. Hey, Google. Well, you're on the podcast right now with Dave Ward. Would you like to say something to the podcast audience?
Playing Echo Tips podcast series on YouTube
Oh,
Music.
She's going to play it for me. Okay.
Welcome to
Hey,
the
Google.
Echo Tips podcast.
Stop. Hey, Google. I didn't want you to start playing the podcast. I was telling you are being interviewed presently on the podcast. Would you like to say something to the podcast listeners that are right now on? Oh, she's shy. I guess she doesn't want to say anything. Okay. Anyway, let's see. How else can we probably trigger her to do something? Hey, Google. You remember that summary you gave me about the Echo Tips podcast? Give it to me in like a little poem format.
Sure. Here's a poem about the Echo Tips podcast.
Ah.
David Ward, our friendly guide with Echo Tips by your side. Alarms, calls, books to hear. For new users, banish fear. Short episodes, lessons clear. Tech made simple, year by year.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go. I don't know what else to say, but there you go. There's some large language model action for you on your Nest Mini device. I will say the voices are fabulous, and they do have a lot of them. At least I'd say as many as Amazon has, probably in the neighborhood of 8 or 10. And they are all very, very good. And having released the product a little later in the game than I think Amazon probably did, the voices, but they're just splendid. Really, really, really good. Natural sounding voices. And of course, I think the one we're listening to right now has an Australian accent. But yes, English accents. I can't remember the Scottish and Welsh. But of course, American accents, a whole variety of English. Now, I did not like the fact that you can't change the voices verbally like you can on the A-Lady device. So that's kind of a downer because you almost like to hear it project out of the speaker and get a nice feel. Or if you're like me, every once in a while you want to just change it up a little bit. You can't apparently do that at this point. In fact, I can think of barely any settings on the device you can change. She constantly is like directing me back to the app. Okay, so let's press on. So I told you we signed up for Google Premium. That was formerly Nest Aware, roughly $10 a month. Let's see, what else can I tell you here that we can goof around with? I told you about the video camera. That's the big upsell for paying the $10 a month is if you have the Google cameras, you get a lot of extra functionality with that, which does sound kind of interesting. Unfortunately, I don't have any to demo for us, though, for this show. Okay, so here I have a category of features I wanted to mention. You obviously have your typical stuff, your alarms, your tasks, your reminders. You have your calendar. Each of those probably means slightly something different than they may mean on the A-Lady, the way they work and how they integrate with your Google account overall. But I suspect the calendar function works really well on the few occasions I have used it. It seems to just be super snappy and very capable. So not a problem. There is a notes functionality that it seems to integrate. I think it's called Google Keep, which may do notes and may do tasks. I can't remember the slight distinction there of what that is. But you can apparently take some notes or prompt or look at your notes about it. In fact, let's see. Hey, Google, what notes do I have?
I can only do that once I verify your voice. Try going to the Google Home app, then checking your voice match settings.
Okay, honestly, I have not got that response, but she is pretty flaky. To be honest, I get some really weird responses. I mean, half the time she'll read off the notes to me and tell me what they are, and the other half of the time she'll be like, I can't access the notes yet. That's not a feature. So this is very, very clearly beta level. What I was really hoping to share with you guys, and hopefully in the weeks ahead I can, there used to be something called experimental features. And once you enabled these experimental features, you were able to prompt, and this is the problem, connecting all of these things. The Gemini app on my phone could query not only my calendar, but my documents and spreadsheets, I believe. It had all sorts of different experimental options. How well some of them work versus others, I don't really know. And I don't know if there's a similar section or an identical section for the Google Nest devices with this revised Google Assistant with Gemini goodness. But if there is an experimental feature, that's certainly something I want to demonstrate to you guys. Because, I would like to at least say that we're on par with Alexa Plus. And one of the Alexa Plus's features that we did demos of was the ability to upload documents. So it wasn't like you just access your cloud documents folder, but you could upload documents, you could email things to them, email documents, and even email pictures, and then have it triage for you on the fly, or whatever. I've even I think I've uploaded job listings and then my resume and said, hey, craft a cover letter or something like that. And had it spit back an item to me. So if it did have the ability to triage my Google Docs, I would say not only would that be on par with the Alexa Plus, that may even be superior because you don't have to go through the process of uploading it or emailing it. It's right there in your Docs folder. So that could be really cool, especially think about maybe spreadsheets and different information you want to pull from. Maybe you're out and about. That could be really, really kind of handy. But I haven't managed to find that yet. Parental controls. This was interesting when I did the original setup. It immediately, near the end of the setup process, prompted me for almost like a filtering level for parentalness. I don't think that's a word. But for family-friendly safety features. And it had pretty much completely off for everybody. And then it had on for kids. And then it had if guests are here that are not recognized, their voices are not recognized, and automatically default to the family-friendly kids style feature. So I guess those would be ways that content could be limited. I did look at the parental settings just a wee little bit, and it does look pretty sophisticated, at least the way the nomenclature seems to be, almost like you could prune anything out of the system. Such that, little Johnny or whatever, little Peggy Sue doesn't have access to it, which is saying something because the A-Lady has historically never been there is a kids feature, but, and you can filter skills, But the ability to have a really good parental controls over music playback or tune in or Amazon Music playback or Spotify playback is really amateurish. It's very bad, if almost non-existent. In fact, with Amazon, I would say it's closer to non-existent. There's like a single switch that you can turn on for explicit stuff, but it's pretty much only depends on the fact that somebody flagged it in the database on Amazon's side as being explicit. And there's a lot of content on there and podcasts that aren't flagged in any kind of way, and a kid could easily come over and play it. Or if you're in a business environment, something could be flagged that way. So it's nice to see a little more maturity with parental controls, because once again, if one of these guys does a better job at it than the other, hopefully the others will learn from each other. But yeah, I was kind of impressed. I like the idea of, if you're going to do voice ID recognition, then if little Johnny's talking to his device, by the way, you could configure it by device, then it always defaults to the safety procedures for him. While mom and dad are talking to their devices, or even if they talk to little Johnny's, it will recognize they're the parents and they have a different level. And if somebody just walks in off the street, like a friend or a neighbor, you can have it set so that it automatically defaults kind of like the family-friendly, safe version. So yeah, it's just I felt it looks like it might be ebbing towards the right direction. All right, let's see what else I have in my notes here. Recognizing voices, I mentioned that. Now, it did just prompt me, as we heard, to do a voice ID thing. I don't recall it ever asking me to do that before. Now, wait a minute. When I did do the recent reset up and refresh, it did say it was downloading my voice profile. So I do believe that was already, I had done that in the past. But anywho, let's continue on here. Things I don't like. Well, I don't know. I don't want to hit on too many of these at once. But it generally, the voice is fantastic. Its responsiveness is fantastic. I like the way that it doesn't do the chronic listening feature, or at least there's an option to turn that on and off. Alexa Plus, you could learn something from that. I would like the ability to toggle it on and off. I'll remind you, too, in case you were unaware, Meta Ray-Bans, they do a similar feature out of the box as Alexa Plus. So once they are prompted, you say, hey, Meta, they'll start listening, and then they'll also continue to listen after they give you a response for like 30 seconds. That's the out-of-the-box setup. So 2 out of 3, Meta and Alexa Plus, both default to that continue listening mode or follow-up mode, while the Google Nest is not doing that. But at least in the case of the Google Nest, you have the option to turn it on if you do want it. And in the case of the Meta Ray-Ban, you have the option to shut it off, because I did shut that off eventually, so that it operates much like the Google does now. While the A-Lady Plus, Alexa Plus, I'll have to burrow into the settings again, but unless they've added something, I don't think there's a way to shut off this continuous follow-up mode in Alexa Plus, which is a little... I would like the versatility to be able to do that, quite frankly, because often I don't want to have a continuous conversation with her. I just need once, give me the response and I'm done. Oh, this was interesting. I did not have texting capability. So, on Alexa Plus, there is a weird integration you can do with an iPhone app, probably an Android app as well, that allows you to basically compose a text message over with your A-Lady hands-free. You can even turn it into a poem or whatever. It's using the large language model stuff, which I find kind of cute to do now and again. And then it will bounce it through your phone using your address book, so that your phone actually sends it, and on the other end, it's clearly referencing your phone number. But that's kind of a nice kind of little hack Alexa uses. But at present, Google doesn't seem to allow you to do any texting, or maybe I haven't burrowed. Maybe I got to redo the communication setup to allow that. But it doesn't look like it. When I first took my first casual look at it, it doesn't look like text is supported. In fact, I'm pretty sure verbatim it said texting is not supported at this time. Although it does look like limited phone calling may still exist. Similar to probably how they did it before. I haven't tried it yet, but probably where it uses like a virtual VoIP over the telephone, over the internet service to place a phone call. So that does seem to still exist. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that too much. I will mention this as a final thing. The Bluetooth functionality is a little weird. Like I said, it bifurcated the audio, which I think could be good if you had the option to turn that on and off. It also had the ability to designate a speaker almost as like a permanent way the audio comes out, or a Chromecast, I believe, and or what was it? Oh, my Roku TV. It's on my Roku TV, and it could be designated as a video provider. So I'm not too sure what that means. I guess if I had maybe a Nest Hub or device that could do the YouTube videos or Netflix and some other things, which we'll talk about in a future episode, then it would automatically route it to my Roku TV. But as far as my Nest Mini goes, I couldn't quite figure out, and we might look at that in a future episode, what that would do. It wasn't audio, it was for video playback. But anyway, the other reason I mentioned this under the problems category is the Bluetooth setup stuff is pretty wackadoodle. Because, like, I connected it to a Bluetooth speaker / mixer input, and then to, like, go find how to delete it out of there was a real gnarly son of a gun. I had to, like, it wasn't even in the same menu. I had to go back out into a different audio group section where I just happened to find a button that said pretty much reset or unpair. And once I did that, I was able to do it. You may ask, why do you care, Dave? Why could you just disconnect? Well, some of the equipment I use here in the studio is what I call sticky, or Bluetooth sticky. That's a highly technical term from 25 years of international certifications and stuff. I call it Bluetooth sticky. And what it does is, once you've paired it with the device, even if you disconnect, either way, on either device, pretty much, if you give it about 5 to 15 seconds, it'll repair again. It like has almost like a boom, reconnect. And it's very sticky. And for our purposes with the mixer in the studio, that's great because it means it's almost impossible for anything to fail me. It will automatically reconnect again. On the other hand, if you don't want it to be connected, it's a problem. And so I did have to find out a way to forget it. And like I said, it wasn't even in the same menu inside the Google app. So let me soft land this plane. So, and like I said, we'll have future episodes here. So what have I learned? What have I experienced? Sign up process, hot mess. Apps, hot mess. Clarity of have I subscribed, not subscribed, hot mess. Been researching how to discontinue my 30-day trial and not end up paying for it. Hot mess. Dumpster fire, hot mess. They're changing their language so much over so many of these products so many times, means that you don't even know hardly what directions to follow or not follow half the time, and how current they are. Are they current or not current? It's terribly frustrating. And historically with these Nest devices, you've always had a problem where half of the controls were in the Google Home app, and another half of the controls were in the Google Assistant app, which I don't even know if the Google Assistant app still exists. It may have been rebranded Gemini or something. And for years, guys, I'm not making this stuff up, I could go into one app, I think it was the Google Assistant app, to change the voice. But to do anything else with the thing, like change its volume or to change my music provider or anything like that you would typically think of changing with your device, I had to go into the Google Home app. It was mind-blowingly complicated. And even in the Google Home app, I ran into a feature where half the controls were under settings for the device, but some of the other controls were under the global Google account, which was in a totally other set of menus way, way back at the beginning. So yeah, Google needs some serious UX UI reconfiguration. It's so far down the rabbit hole that I would almost wish that it just was a batch file from yesteryear where I have to have literal commands typed in. This switches on or off. It's really, really bad. Some of them have search menus, some of them don't, so that you can more easily find the searches. But they seem to be almost useless in some respects because they're probably siloed. Like, for example, I told you I was trying to enable these experimental features. That used to be what they called it. And I typed in experimental and I couldn't find it. I typed in another thing, I couldn't find it. So I don't know. So the whole setup process, we've got there. The voices sound great. Right now, out of the box, the feature set is not great. I mean, we got music, we got notes, we got reminders, I got my calendar. But I think to at least be on par, we need to have document access, maybe a handful of other features that would be nice. I haven't used it a lot with home automation yet, but we'll probably do that in a future episode. I do have a handful of devices around the house that when I bought them, they were pretty much Google Assistant friendly only, or I just happened to set them up that way, mostly maybe just to see if it would work better or not, just kind of be familiar with it. I haven't found her very intuitive in just finding those devices. Like my Alexa Plus is pretty good at saying, I have sensors in this, and this part of the house, and they read this, and this, or you have access to this, and that, and a microwave, and this and that, and thermostats. While the Google is almost like, I don't know what you talk about. It's like, so I don't know. We'll see. This is a very early days experiment. I would like to see it be a little more competitive, and a little more easier to use, a little bit more on par, and not a hot mess in a lot of these arenas that honestly boggles my mind how you can make something that seemingly should be so simple so complicated. But anyway, that's not to say the Alexa Plus app is a bastion of simplicity either. It's got a lot of different menus and stuff that go in different directions. But anywho, I do like to see that the nomenclature is getting very similar. So calendars, reminders, those are kind of synonymous almost across both platforms. What was the other thing? Routines. The phrase routines is used by both, and it has both the same meanings. So I do like that I don't have to mentally wrap my head around two different ways to say the same thing, because you decided to branding and trademark it or not. So I do appreciate that. Well, anyway, this will wrap up the episode. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, and I'm sorry I rambled on here for a little bit, email me at ecotipspodcast@certdoctor.com. And we would love to hear your comments. CertDoctor is CERT, Doctor, DOCTOR.com. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Questions, things you'd like to see me demo. Like I said, I don't have any cameras, so I can't really demo that. That'll probably be the awesomest feature I could demo. But yeah, if you have thoughts or suggestions or personal experiences of things that you're trying, or a face-off you'd like me to see in a particular genre between, between the Nest and the Amazon Echo, I would love to hear your feedback. So feel free to drop us a note. And once again, as always, we thank you for listening.